Hi there, welcome to this video. My name is Pete Everett and today I want to talk to you about how to set your pricing for your SEO services. Pricing for any service can be really hard to get to grips with, and deciding on which charging model can be a minefield too. Setting your prices can also massively affect the quality of clients that you attract and how much you and your team are going to enjoy delivering the work for them. But it's not always as simple as putting your prices up, and in this video I want to outline to you a value-based model for pricing SEO services that works for both you and your client. So to begin with, we need to think about the time versus value model. Now, I think every agency owner that I've ever worked with has used a time-based model to start their businesses. It's easy to understand. It's one of those things that just helps you get going really quickly, and it's dead easy to figure out. On a time-based model, you figure out how much money you want to earn each year, you figure out how many days you want to work, and you divide one by the other, and there's your daily rate. Easy. But the thing is, as your business starts to grow, you are going to get to a point where that time-based model doesn't really work for you anymore, and you need to start considering the value of your projects and your expertise into the equation as you're pricing your work. Some of the issues that may affect you are things like employing other staff. That was personally an issue I had when I was running a freelance business around about 10 years ago. I had enough money to employ me, but didn't have enough money to start growing my team properly. There's other issues around taking holidays. We don't all want to work all the time. Of course we don't. So you need to factor that into your income and expenditure. And what about covering periods of illness? These are all different things that we need to take into account. The main point here, though, is that as your business grows, you need to move to a pricing model that reflects that experience and the results that you can achieve for your clients. And that's another great thing about starting with a time-based model, is that over a period of the first few years of your business, you do start to understand how effective you can be for each client. And all of that can be put into the melting pot as you start to calculate your value. So how do you calculate value? Well, calculating value in any project can be really difficult. But I've worked on a model over the past few years, and I modified it and honed it and tweaked it along the way, and I want to share it with you today. But the crux of this model is that you need to work your fee based on how effective you can be for each individual client. That's right. Every single client should have their pricing worked out for them individually. That means that if somebody comes along and asks you the question, hey, how much do you charge for SEO? Your answer is going to be, well, it depends. We need to have a chat about that. And that's fine, because you see, your effectiveness, let's say that you understand that your effectiveness to each client is that you can increase their sales revenue online by 10% every year. Well, if you're then working with a company that has an online revenue of £100,000 each year, that means in a year's time of working with you, that will have increased to £110,000. It's great. But if you then take on a client that's already turning over £1 million on online revenue every year, and you're going to increase their revenue by 10%, then that's going to be 1.1 million, which is a big, it's a huge difference. And that needs to be reflected in the fee that they get charged. So the crux of this also links back to the circle of truth that was in a previous video, and I'll make sure there's a link for that in the comments. So how do you come to this magic number of your fee? So I'm just going to share my iPad screen with you, and what you need to start doing is you need to start by understanding the marketing budget for that company in terms of both a financial figure and in terms of its percentage of revenue. So that means that each year you get the chance to go back and say, hey, that percentage revenue, so last year you spent X, your percentage has gone up, or that figure's gone up, therefore the percentage is now worth Y. So my fees and my charges are going to go up accordingly. So first of all, over here in the top left-hand corner, we have marketing revenue as a budget. So most companies that I work with, they have an overall marketing budget somewhere between 5 and 12% of their annual turnover. So let's say that we're working with a company, for easy maths, that has a turnover of £1 million and they have a marketing budget of 10%. So their marketing budget is 100k. Perfect. And that is 10% of their revenue. Easy so far. Now, the thing is, though, that they sell both online and offline, and they do that in equal measure. So their online sales is 50%. And because of that, half of their marketing budget needs to go towards the offline sales, and I'm working with the online sales portion of it. So we've got about 50k to work with. Now then, what are the other digital marketing activities that this budget needs to cover? So maybe they run PPC and they have a budget of 10k for that, and maybe that's it. You know, maybe they also employ a social media company, so they have a social media spend of another 10k. Right, so that means that they've got £30,000 left in that pot for other marketing activities. So that means that I should have done this over here. So the digital marketing is actually 50k. So then the SEO basically can take up the rest of that fee. So in theory, we could be looking at an annual SEO spend of £30,000. But we need to understand a few things here. So firstly, before I write that number in there, we need to understand, are they happy with their current level of online inquiries, or does it need to go up? Are there any efficiencies that we can make in the system to increase customer value? Is it something to do with the average lifetime customer value? Now, all of this is covered in a previous video, so I'll make sure, as I say, that there's a link to that in the comments. But for argument's sake, we're going to now say that they want to have a relatively aggressive approach to their SEO, and they do want to see that percentage increase. And actually what they really want to do is make these online sales go up, so that they're really going to afford that they want that online percentage to hit 60%, let's say, in a year's time. Okay, so that now gives us a benchmark that we're aiming for. And it means that we are, it gives us that benchmark. It gives us a focus. So what we're saying is that with all of their current marketing, we could afford to put in a quote of £30,000, which obviously you'd split that by 12 months. So whatever that works out to be, I don't know, just over about 2,500 a month, something like that. No, that's completely wrong. No, it's not. It's bang on, 2,500 a month. So that would be a 2.5k retainer. Happy days. So that would be the process that we would go through. Now, if client Y comes along, so that's client X, let's say that client Y comes along, and I will change my color here just so that we get we can see them next to each other and show how this model works. So that's all client X. Client Y comes along and they only have a marketing budget of 20k a year. Okay, they only spend and that becomes, I don't know, let's stick with the 10%. So they're turning over 200,000 a year and they've got a marketing budget of 10%. That's fine, but they are 100% online, so we don't need to take anything off for digital marketing. So digital marketing is also 20k. Happy days. In this company, however, they are not doing any other digital marketing activity at all. So that is out there. Maybe they're doing social media in-house, or they're looking after themselves, basically. So again, we can then come to them and say, right, well, for the same work, for the same uplift, so we're looking at a 10% increase. I'm doing all of this to keep the numbers easy. We can then charge 20,000 a year, which would work out at about 1,500 a month, something like that. I can't do the maths fast enough in my head, but there you go. That's how we'd figure it out. We can't get to this, however, without being honest with ourselves and without being honest with clients. But this does give us a framework to at least start to put our value into the pricing, and it allows us to work with the client's figures, because next year, you know, when client Y, the green client, comes along and says that, hey, look, we've done a great job. We turned over 250,000 last year. So we went up by 20% in terms of overall revenue. Then all of these figures can then be reworked so that actually next year your £1,500 a month retainer might become £1,800 a month or £2,000 a month. But it's all still affordable because you're working on that percentage model. So I hope you found that really useful. If you like the content that I'm producing, please give this YouTube channel a subscribe. Hit that subscribe button, and I look forward to seeing you next time.